It is Monday again, 7:30 Central Time. Thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing. Today I want to talk about those small foxes that spoil the vine. And Solomon 2:15, I think it is, he says we need to deal with the little foxes that spoil the vine. And I can tell you, having dealt with literally tens of thousands of people now in the 42 years I've been doing this, it is the little things gone unattended that have caused the biggest problems in people's marriages. It is the big problems that we have in our world today that started out as small things that weren't addressed and weren't dealt with. It's interesting in Song of Solomon where he's talking about the little foxes. It's like right in the middle of this love conversation, this romantic endeavor. These two are after one another, seeking one another, pursuing one another. And kind of like right in the middle of this conversation, he says, we got to deal with the small foxes that spoil the vine. And in context, what he's actually saying is, in relationships, we need to deal with the small things that can ruin a relationship if not dealt with, and if not dealt with properly. And I just want to share one example. In my own marriage, I don't like eggplant. Anybody that knows me knows I don't like eggplant. You can't put enough hot sauce on it. You can't put enough salt on it. You can't put enough cheese on it. I do not like eggplant. And I love telling the story. I had a garden one year and I planted corn and watermelon and potatoes and all these different things, and everything grew. And I planted an eggplant for my wife because she wanted an eggplant. Everything grew, everything prospered. The animals ate everything that I grew except the eggplant. And I told her, see there, even nature knows you're not supposed to eat this thing. But early on in our marriage, she made eggplant. And my son Michael, he loved eggplant and she loved eggplant. But I don't like eggplant. And so early on in the relationship, I had to say, I don't care for eggplant. She asked me, how do you like the meal? And I, like most men, wanted to say, hey, it was great, because I know she put in effort. I know she worked hard. I know that she was, trying to do something that would be a blessing to me. So she asked me, how did you like the meal? I loved the potatoes. I loved this, but I didn't really care for the eggplant. I wouldn't order it out if I was out somewhere. Now, that sounds hard, but if I hadn't said anything, I would have ate eggplant for the next 80 years of my life, or 90 years, however long we live. And I didn't want to eat eggplant for 90 years of my life. And I could hurt her feelings a little bit in the beginning and not have to eat eggplant for 90 years, or I could keep my mouth shut and eat something I don't like for the rest of my life. I'm reminded of the commercial where the guy holds up a frame oil filter. This is how old I am. And he said, this is a $2.98 oil filter. This is a $2,000 rebuild. You can pay me now or you can pay me later. And I found that to be true in a lot of things in life. I can pay the price early on in a problem, in a relationship, in a problem, in a situation, and pay $2.98. It's going to cost me, or I can wait and wait and wait and hope it goes away, and it'll end up costing me $2,900 because I let it go. It's the small things that become big things. I needed to be able to work out this situation with my wife where she didn't think I didn't love her, or that I wished I hadn't married her, or any of these things that go on in women's minds when we don't particularly care for a thing. I have to deal with it while it's still a small thing, still painful, still hurts, or pay the price later. Can I tell you, the biggest problems in marriages start out as what we would call a little white lie. And it's not the little white lie that's the problem. It's that when that little white lie is found out, the enemy tells our spouse, what else are they lying about? And then that little bitty thing becomes a great big thing. You told me you were working late too. Were you really working late? You told me, you got a reduction in pay. Is that the truth, or are you gambling it away? This the little white lie that when it's found out becomes a great big problem, because now the enemy takes that and says, what else have you not been faithful with? What else have you lied? You told me you love me too. Were you lying about that? So it's the little things that we have to deal with. I had the joy and the honor to serve in our community this weekend, and had a building that on the ends the birds had built nests in there, and now the birds were getting inside the building and creating all kinds of problems. And so we took it apart and started taking out the birds' nests, and it wasn't done right in the beginning, which was the problem. But now we're wanting to fix it, so I disconnected all the screws and pulled the stuff out and started getting rid of all the nests. Well, there wasn't just one or two nests inside this area. There were 8 and 10 different bird nests in this 50 by 70 building on one half of one section. And we kept pulling them out and pulling them out and pulling them out. But it's because that problem was little. And one animal found its way in and brought in its relatives. And it's amazing to me, those birds were, they were 20 feet deep into this area. And once you start pulling one out, you realize it's not just one. They had to go by each other. They had to get along, but they were in the dry. They were able to raise their chicks, all that kind of stuff. And their relatives were coming in by the droves. It was an apartment complex for these birds. And I actually had to go inside the building and pull down some ceiling tile, and I took 2 bucket loads of bird nests, 2 baskets, waste baskets full, 2 of them, from this one corner where these birds had found their way in and were making a mess. They were creating leaks. It was a terrible problem, but it started out a very small thing. Can I tell you, many of the problems we have with our attitudes started out with a little bitty mistake, a little attitude that needed adjusting and didn't get adjusted. Like this idea of tolerance. Can I tell you, beloved, tolerance is a philosophy for cowards. Tolerance is for anybody that doesn't want to make a stance on any given thing, so we just tolerate in the name of love. But that's not really love. Tolerance is an attitude that needs to be adjusted, because I understand what people are saying, but tolerance is not what it used to be. And it's a small attitude that ends up having a huge, huge problem because it's been taken too far. So I'm going to ask you today, what little thing do you need to deal with? What little problem do you need to make an adjustment in while it's still a $298 problem? Or are you just going to keep on dealing with it, letting it go until it becomes a $2,900 problem? My encouragement, beloved, is that you deal with it while it's still a small thing. Now, not every small thing becomes a $2,000 problem, but it's worth looking into. It's worth asking yourself, is this problem worth dealing with? Because what's going to be the ramifications if I don't? And if it's just a little thing, it really is just a little thing, and it's not a big deal, and you can let it go, and it doesn't create any issues, let it go. But many things are let go because we're afraid to actually deal with it. We're afraid to actually confront the situation, and we think if we just leave it alone, it'll get better. But few things get better when they're already a problem when they're little. They just grow and grow and grow until they become something that must be dealt with. And then it involves not just you and one other. Maybe it involves an entire family, an entire business, an entire church, an entire whatever. It's the little foxes. So, beloved, I pray that you would look at your life and look at the little things that are going on and ask yourself, do I need to deal with it? And just go ahead and pay the $298 now so that you don't have to pay the $2,900 later. And be a happy camper because you dealt with it when it was still a small problem. I love you all so much. Thank you for watching. Thank you for sharing. Going to say hi to a few folks while I still can. Sorry for the glare of the glasses. Hi, David. Tori. Hey, it's good to see you, Tori. Bless you. Jim, Wendy, Mary, Jimmy, Jean, Tracy, love you, Tracy, Tammy, Wendy, Mary Lou, y'all are such a blessing. Look forward to seeing you next Monday. Have a great week.